Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Standard. My name is Buchilo and I am your host for today. And we will be talking on 2023 Nigerian elections. And the winner is. So if you're here and you're just joining, you know what to do. Kindly share, kindly promote this broadcast and let folks know we are here today. And we're excited to have you. So I really want to just say thank you so much for those who have been watching our past broadcasts and been supporting this mission of the leadership standard, ensuring that leadership is being brought to everyone, and everyone understands the value of great leadership and how such leadership can ultimately make a difference in the lives of the people that we are leading. All right, not everyone is called to be a leader, but sometimes we are called to serve. We're called to serve, we're called to lead. And this is what this Nigerian elections is about. You have to understand that the people who are presenting themselves to lead Nigeria are not called just to sit on the throne and give out orders, but rather they are called to serve. They're called to serve the people. Leadership is ultimately, predominantly about service. So when we are deciding who to vote, we all have to look at the people who will serve our interest, and not just our personal interest, but serve the collective interest of everybody, right? Because when you live in developed societies, you ultimately see how the interest of that developed society is being administered, how they administer the interest for everybody, not just for one person, right? That's not the way it is in African leadership or even in Nigerian leadership that we are specifically talking about. We see how one person becomes a governor, becomes a senator, becomes a minister, becomes a House of Rep member, or even becomes a president, and all of a sudden, you know, the office becomes more like a cash cow for such a person, right? That is not how leadership should be. Leadership should be a situation where people are serving other people and are trying to ensure that the lives of everyone is benefiting from their leadership. So, having said that, I'm going to play some clips today of what I think this election season is all about. What I think this election is coming up on Saturday is all about. I am not here to predict who the winner is going to be, but I believe strongly that the people themselves know who the winner is going to be. And if the mandate is not given to the people, then it is up to the people to decide how they want to react to that, right? Because we know how the Nigerian elections have been. And for those who have followed the Nigerian elections from the past, you can almost tell that, it is not ultimately black and white, right? It's not going to be like, oh, this person is just going to go there and everybody's going to vote and he's going to come out and win. All right. You can go out there, vote. The next thing it goes into the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal. And before you know it, they're fighting for who the winner is going to be all over again from the courts, right? And the next thing the court could say, oh, there were irregularities in this particular polling unit. We need to go back and redo the vote. And before you know it, it's just going to be a long time, right? You might think, oh, February 25th is the election day, but you might wake up one day and realize that the election situation is still going on till June. All right. But that's not what I am predicting. I'm just telling you that when you look holistically in what the Nigerian political space is, you have to have an open mind and be ready for anything, right? So that you don't become heartbroken, right? If you do not have an open mind and you're not open for everything, you can become heartbroken, right? Because you will be expecting something and getting a different result, right? But if you are open to any kind of possibilities, then you know that, okay, anything that wants to come out of this, I am ready for it. All right. So having said that, I want to share this video.
They stab one of our members with either knife or bottle. So everywhere is in disarray. We are all taking covers because we are hiding from them. I don't know how long this can continue in this country. How long are we continue to suffer from these people? How long will it continue? Can't we have a free environment? Are we not supposed to go about our duty, our market sensitization? On the 25th election will take place. Let God come and take control of this situation. By the grace of God.
So you can see here, this is the kind of election that Nigeria is known for, right? Election that is violent, right? It's not something that is new. It's something that has been happening from time almost since I've been a boy, right? Till I'm now a man, right? People go out there and they get stabbed, they get beaten, they get knocked out in the head for ultimately trying to vote for a candidate that of their choice, right? So what am I saying? I'm saying that at the end of the day, we have to be politically ready for any kind of situation that comes its way, right? Ultimately, these people are not going to chase us away from, from our homes, right? All these political thugs, all these political miscreants, they're not going to chase us away from our homes, right? But at the end of the day, we are looking for a leader who's going to come in there and speak to the issues that border on humanity, and not somebody who is just out there, not even clueless about what's going on, because his own life, his own destiny has already been sorted out for him, right? By the same Nigerian taxpayers' money, right? Or by some kind of fraudulent deals that have happened in the past. That is what we are seeing. There are various political candidates that have been known to be involved in criminal elements in the past, right? And if Nigeria was a country that worked, such people would have been put in place, or they would have been checkmated a long time ago, right? And not have the ability to even come out now and say they want to become president, right? They would have been checkmated. They would have either had a criminal charge against them, or they would have either been convicted, and that ultimately would have stopped their chances of seeking political office. But that's not the way things usually run in Nigeria, right? Things run in a different kind of way, where people who know people can actually, navigate the system and for their benefits, and ultimately there are no consequences for criminal actions, right? So that is what I'm saying. Now, this is someone who was beaten by a group of people for a candidate that he was supporting, right? So this is what I'm talking about. The Nigerian election. I know that right now the campaigning will be ending, whether today or tomorrow, and it will be fully just getting ready to go out there and vote, right? But I'm just saying that whatever it is, we must always be ready for things like this, right? Violence. We must always be ready for things like this, like people coming out there causing havoc, trying to destroy polling units, trying to destroy polling booths, trying to put an end to other people's lives just because of their own candidates, right? You're not going to see the political candidates doing all of this, but they have people on ground that have ensured that this particular space, this particular unit must go to one candidate. And anybody that comes to that unit, they are ensuring that such people will vote for this candidate. And there are also some other people that are ultimately clueless, whether because they lack education or they lack experience, or because they have somebody that is higher than them who is telling them what to do, right? Maybe that person is their pastor or their imam, or whether that person is their religious figure, or whether that person is somebody that they admire, and that person is telling them, you have to vote for this candidate, you have to vote for this candidate, right? But again, it is up to the people to decide. But now, for those who have a conscience and who have a heart and who can decide who they want to become the president of Nigeria, they can go into the polling unit with an unbiased mind, looking at every candidate and saying, oh, this is the candidate I want to vote for. But there are some people who do not have that decision, who cannot make those decisions for themselves, right? They have to listen to other people because maybe they get their survivor from those people. They get their daily bread from those people. And you know how Nigeria is. If you cannot provide for yourself, it's very hard for other people to provide for you. That's just how life is generally, right? So imagine that kind of person that owes a gratitude to someone else for their survivor. They will definitely go into that. So that's the way I'm seeing it. Now, also from the issue of how the Nigerian election is designed. The parties are designed, almost based out of tribe and religion, right? If those things do not matter, then why is it sort of spoken about in the election? There's a Muslim ticket. There are those people who are doing the Muslim ticket. There's those people who are doing Yoruba, ticket, Hausa ticket, Igbo ticket, Fulani ticket. It doesn't matter. People might say, oh, we're all Nigerians. It doesn't matter who is who. But the truth of the matter is this. All those things still matter to some people, right? Some people still look at that when they go into the polling unit. Who is the person from my town? Who is the person from my region? I'm going to vote this person because he's Yoruba. There have been videos of people saying that they will vote a particular candidate because of the fact that he's Yoruba. And there's nothing wrong with that. right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's all your choice. But at the end of the day, you must realize that when this suffering begins, it's not going to affect whether Yoruba, Hausa, it's going to affect everybody, right? Because leadership is not about race or tribe or anything like that. Leadership is about service. Leadership is about delivery. Leadership is about making sure that people get what they desire and what they want, right? So, how do we want to make this happen? That's the question. How do we want to ensure that people get what they desire? How do we want to ensure that people get what they want? It is up to the people to decide that voting is not enough, but protecting the vote is even more important. As you are voting, you must decide how do you want to protect your vote. And there are some people that have said that obviously, some places there will be no elections there, whether because of their own, issues with the system, or whether because they also feel like the elections in Nigeria doesn't really count. It's up to them. They are the ones who will decide why they said that. But the point I'm trying to make in essence is that the elections in Nigeria, at the end of the day, you must be ready to take it however you see it. Right? You must be ready to take it however you see it. Only if you are ready to speak up against any sort of fraudulent issues going on. Only if you are ready to protect your votes. Only if you're ready to ensure that at the end of the day, that what the INEC decides is the winner is actually the winner. Most people don't know that.
Everybody is obedient. The next thing we had was battle throwing left and right. That we don't have right to enter Aguda market. That it belongs to APC. Even the Yaloja said we should not enter. That it belongs to them. God will take control.
You hear what they said? You hear what they said? That the market belongs to the APC. All right? That is exactly what they said. The market belongs to the APC. Because as I said initially, this is not something that you just, decide that, it's going to be a one-fit-all, that everybody is on the bandwagon of one person. No, there's some people that are eating from some candidates. There's some people that are eating from some candidates. So they cannot allow you to come there and spoil their food for them. Nigeria is about survival. Nigeria is about survival. If Nigeria wasn't about survival and the economy of Nigeria was booming and everybody was having what they wanted, there's food, there's water, there's enough good roads for everybody, believe me, most people will not even bother about elections. Most people won't bother about elections. If the people have what they want, they won't be bothering about elections. But because of the fact that the people are tired, they are sick and tired of suffering, they are saying that this is the only election time that they would have their voices heard, where they would change the history of Nigeria, and not just change their history of Nigeria, but also change the history of the people coming after them. That is the reason why they are coming up now to say, listen, enough is enough. Enough is enough. We want this. We want a candidate that will listen to us, a candidate that will understand our problems, a candidate that will change our system. That is what they are saying. But it is not easy because everybody is thinking out of their stomach. Most people are thinking out of their stomachs. So how then do you now make a change in that kind of situation? The Nigerian government, the Lagos state government gave a contract to a known tout, a known person in Nigeria to, this was INEC, to distribute, materials. They had to go to court to tell the court to ensure that that person does not carry out that task. That's MC Oluomo. If you know MC Oluomo in Lagos, you know the kind of activities that is involved in. So MC Oluomo wanted to wanted to be the one distributing polling materials. Imagine someone who is a known APC supporter. How then do you justify corruption? There will be corruption in those instances. But the point I'm trying to make in essence is, at the end of the day, we are the ones who will decide what kind of nonsense we want to take. But, the Labour Party in Lagos, they took him to court. And this is what happened.
And his governorship candidate in Lagos State, both party, and the governorship candidate of both party in Lagos State against the Independent National Electoral Commission, restraining them and or declaring their action, the engagement of MC Oluomo-led PAC and tax management in Lagos State for the distribution of electoral materials and its ad hoc staff during this forthcoming election. By the ruling of the court today on our motion on notice, which had been duly served on INEC, and they have chosen not to come to court. The court has granted our injunction restraining INEC from further consummating and or continuing the engagement of MC Oluomo-led party.
You understand? So the question is, why did INEC in the first place think that it was a great idea to use MC Oluomo to distribute materials? That's where the first question should be. INEC is meant to be an impartial, neutral body. Why did they think it was wise enough for them to use MC Oluomo to distribute materials? It shows you how much they care and how much they think about the Nigerian people. Some of these people want to come in there and destroy and just ensure that there is no vision for the organization. That's what they want to do. They want to ensure there is no vision for this organization. There's no vision for Nigeria. There's cluelessness in this business organization that is also called Nigeria. Because at the end of the day, you realize that Nigeria is a business also for some people. Nigeria is a business for some people. It is time that some people are trying to dismantle the business. And that business must be dismantled from the roots, and not just from surface level, but from the roots. So the INEC as an organization thought it was wise to use MC Oluomo to distribute materials for Lagos State. Smart that the Labour Party thought, no way, this is crap. How can they do this? And they said, no, we're not going to allow this. And they went ahead and said no. But the point I'm trying to make in essence is these are the kind of forces that people have to fight. The forces of darkness. The forces of darkness that want to come in there and change the situation and affect the livelihood of people. So they finally got what they wanted. The court said no, MC Oluomo cannot be the one responsible for distributing election materials because he's biased already. You got to find someone else who is not biased. And that was how this matter was resolved. Having said that, I want you to know that this is just the beginning. As you can see, people are fighting for their daily bread. Every single day in Nigeria, you have to wake up and fight for your daily bread. This is what it has turned into. A system where nobody now understands what's going on. Everybody is just struggling, fighting, so that they can get something to eat day in and day out. The money that they have in their banks, they cannot access it. The money they have in their banks, they cannot access it. The bankers are running for their dear life. Everyone is fighting for survival. But this is how they consummately destroy the Nigerian psyche. Because you must understand that there's a psychology to how humans are being treated. When you treat a people like this and you destroy their psychology and you put them in a state like this, a state of fighting and struggling to get what is ultimately should be theirs, you affect their psychology. You make them less of humans. You make them lesser humans. This is just an example of what I'm talking about. An example of people scrambling. It just reminded me of when during the COVID-19, when they were hiding the palliatives. People had to rush in there, barge in there, fighting for what belonged to them. Are we not tired of fighting for what belongs to us? Don't we deserve what belongs to us? Why must we keep fighting for what belongs to us? Are we not a representation of God on earth? Why do we have to fight for the same thing that God has given to each and every one of us? Old mothers fighting for their food, the old men fighting for their pensions, old people fighting for their survival. Nobody is thinking about their well-being. Nobody is thinking about their well-being. At the end of the day, Whoever wins this election, the people will still have to fight for theirs. They still have to fight for what they believe in. And the truth of the matter is that you know how Nigerian elections are. The same people that are running from one party to another party for election to contest in another election. When this election wins, and maybe a different party wins, you see all of them. They will carry themselves. The same elements will carry themselves into that party and try to constitute nuisance. The same nuisance they've been constituting, they will try to reconstitute that same nuisance all over again. So it's up to us to decide how we want to do it. Do we want to continue to live like slaves, or do we think we have a better opportunity to make a difference? The choice is yours. Nobody's going to make that choice for you.
My name is Ikenna Okonkwo, right? And I'm a media practitioner here in Nnewi, Anambra State. I work with Authority FM. Now, someone brought thousands of permanent voters card of people in the southeast. We have gone through at least 3% of all the names here. As you can see what we have here, these are thousands of permanent voters card of people that a hunter brought here in Authority FM just a few minutes ago. And with the names that we have here, they're all coming from people who are from Nnewi North, the government area of Anambra State, and of course, the entire Southeast. We have had this rumors of people who were trying to cut out the Southeast, their voting strength. Of course, there is large voter apathy in the Southeast, but then with this wickedness that we are seeing here, it's quite obvious. We heard this rumor that, there were discarding PVCs of those who are from the Southeast. We saw that in Lagos some months ago, and we never believed that was true. But seeing this now is a testament.
Radio has created a different...
Indeed, there were people who are hell-bent to cut out the voting strength of the Southeast. This is wickedness. This is debauchery. This is the height of it all. Thousands, these guys have looked for
thousands of voters' cards dumped in a forest, found by a farmer, brought to a radio station. This is the kind of politics that we know Nigerians to play. The politics of segregation, the politics of disenfranchisement, the politics that ensures that some people do not get the access to voting. This is what I'm talking about. It's hard to run away from such a thing. The Nigerian government, Nigerian INEC, they're all complicit in all of this, because there is no way the system would not know how to track everyone who has received their PVCs. How does a whole 1,000 of PVC just end up in the forest like that? There have been some PVCs that have been found in the gutters. PVCs found inside the gutters. PVCs found inside a well. PVCs found inside whatever you name it. But let us be very honest with ourselves. How can we continue like this? How then do we now want to call for a credible election when we are acting like this? Stopping other people from voting, burying their PVCs, destroying their PVCs, and giving PVCs to underage children to vote, as they do in the North. So it's up to us to decide who the winner is going to be in these 2023 elections. It's going to be a combination of a Nigerian system that is willing to change. A Nigerian system that is willing to change. Because those who are willing to change are in a minority as to those that don't want to change. Those who are willing to change are in a minority as to those that don't give a rat's doodle about who will be the president. They don't care. As far as their contracts still coming, as far as their money is still coming, as far as their engagements are still coming, as far as they still get their opportunity to travel out of the country whenever they want to, they don't care. The pastors have said it. That at the end of the day, whoever becomes the president of Nigeria, it doesn't affect the rich person in Nigeria. It doesn't affect the wealthy person in Nigeria. It affects the common man. But the common man and the masses must be ready to say they've had enough is enough. It is time for Nigerians to stop suffering and smiling. We are a very happy people. That is why our leaders have used us for Gary. And that's why they can come on stage and on podium and say nonsense, absolute nonsense. And people are like, yes, we must put a stop to all of this and decide, how do we want these elections to be? Who are we looking into that will change the collective of everybody, not just the individual, but the collective? How? And how do we rise up against our tribal sentiments, which is very hard for a Nigerian person to do, which is very difficult, because we are first of all tribal before we became a nation. You were first of all Igbo before you became Nigeria. You were first of all Yoruba before you became Nigeria. You were first of all Hausa before you became Nigeria. So how do you fight against that when everybody in the ballot has someone that represents where they are from? And that is also a factor. Folks will also look into that factor while they are voting. Where is it from? Does he speak my language? Does he understand me? That's why a lot of people will still say that at the end of the day, this election is still just a waste of time. That we're just putting in 4 years of extra suffering. And that if we do not tackle the issue on ground, what exactly is the main issue on ground, which is the unity of Nigeria and finding out if truly we are really united as a people. That is a question we always need to ask ourselves. Because unity is not just by saying, doing the what's it called now? The Nigerian anthem and saying, our labors and our heroes shall not be. It's not beyond that. Unity is about asking, can I access the same welfare as any other person in any other country, in any other state in Nigeria, without anyone caring about where I'm from? That is a question we need to ask ourselves. And that question is still left unanswered. That's why a lot of people are asking for a breakaway of Nigeria, because that way it's going to give at least a set of people their liberty to decide how they want to live and constitute their life in each day. So it's up to us to decide how we want to approach this. By the end of the day, when we look internally, we see that the stacks are against us in Nigeria. With the way things are going, the stacks are against any right-thinking person.
They don't have PVCs
Look at PVCs of people buried. These are identifications of people. Yet nobody is saying anything about it. So hopefully, let us pray that these elections become a starting point for great things in Nigeria. We're not just a reinforcement of poverty.
They're ready, that want the will of God to be done. They should quickly go to the market, get food, as many food as you can. Buy the food that you can eat and put in your house. Because I am seeing what's called a total shutdown. Remember, I told you there's going to be a lockdown. I see what's called a lockdown and a shutdown. And when I look in the realm of the physical, I see a lockdown and a shutdown. And I said, this shutdown, is it forever? Or what's going to happen? And the Lord said, this is just to curb some certain things in the political elite, because the political class and what they want to do is they want to use it to curb some certain things. And this is what is going to make the masses and the people to now begin to shiver and begin to struggle for nothing. So the Lord said, shine the light and let the people know that they should go and buy, at least get the foodstuffs, the primary amenities, the food you can cook in your house without going to the market to buy anything. At least give it this season of what's called the season of election. Get food in your house. If possible, get the meat and put in the freezer. If you can possible, you get the beans. You get what's called gari. You get what's called rice. You get what's called a few things that is called foodstuffs. Put in your house as you continue to pray, because as this season is coming to pass by, we don't want people to cry and say, "Oh, I was going out because of food, and this what happened." The day of election, people that want to go and will now go and do their voting, but in the realm of the spirit, I am seeing people now on shutdown, and I see what's called banks and their banking app, and even to withdraw money and to transfer money become an impossibility. That people cannot withdraw, people cannot transfer, people cannot make anything about money until this season of election is over. That's why the Lord said this is another issue that people need to pray about, because major prophet of God is the prophet that God is using to shine the light. But we continue to pray because we need the best. We want the perfect will of God to be done and want everybody to be at peace, because God is at work to do something. Don't forget when I told you last month and the month before last, I said I see the street of Lagos militarized, and people say, how can this be possible? I say I see the street of.
There you go. You better go get your food. Go get your stuff to get ready for this election. The election seasons are upon us in Nigeria. Who is going to win? That answer is dependent on who you decide is going to win. Who you decide is going to lead you for another 4 years. Whether it's taking you to promised land or whether taking you straight back, as they say in the Bible days, back to Egypt, where the suffering will continue. But realize this. Realize this. Anyone you decide to vote for is not going to suffer the same suffering that you are going to suffer for the consequences of what you voted for. He's not going to face the same repercussions as you're going to face. He's going to be on a different level. So, think wisely. When you go out there, think wisely. Ask yourself, the person I'm voting for, is he going to serve me? Or is he going to serve the people that he thinks have put him there? Because some people don't think that it's the masses that put them there into power. They think it's some other people. So think wisely when you're making your choice. Having said that, follow us on all our social media platforms. And thank you for listening to me today. Such a pleasure talking to you as always. My name is Buchilo Okeke, and I am the Leadership Standard host today. Have a wonderful day.